And here they are, as we can see. Let's see who will go first, as Ed mentioned. But I'm more interested in Alexandro's, because as mentioned, he has so many cards for going second. And the key card of the deck, which is Purrely, we could say looking like Bude.
But on the other side, Noah started things off very well. With Keldor, Iscari, Modora searching for Agido, and now also with the
Purrely Rhino. So let's see. On the other end, though, as we've mentioned, his opponent has so many cards for going second. So honestly, I'm not that worried for him. But as soon as we get to see some mills, maybe his opponent will start to catch up on what's going on here. And I think this will be the case. So 3 cards are sent off the top. Interesting choice, the main deck Super Poly. But now it's where the fun begins, because he will send some cards. Ooh, and it's Chew Shuffler. Wow. Wow. Great mills from Alexandro.
Yeah, yeah. Good news for Alexandro, while on the other side, I think Noah was
I mean, the mills were awesome as well, but like this Chew hurt so much. And as you can see, Noah forced to read his opponent cards, not really sure what's going on here. As you can see, he did mill the delicious memory, but his opponent is just really confused by what's going on here. Might be one approaching 1 p.m., but honestly, this artwork is also making me hungry, right? Look at this. A feast.
But also, I think, these mills were very good for Alexandro, because now indeed he can shuffle back some cards from Noah's side, and his mills were very good, actually. But he will lose some of his resources, and also, I think, as you mentioned, if you're not prepared to play against a deck like this, you really need to adapt your setup for the turn after. So I'm really curious to see whether
Alexandro, I think, considering his options, he doesn't use Dora. Makes sense, I guess. If just in case your opponent gets to Kyle back and then he mills 5 more and you eat it, you might as well serve it. But yeah, the Saliak is added to the end. Luckily he's playing multiple copies of the trap cards. And now we might see a slow start, maybe the Baguska, and that's it. He doesn't know what he's up against, but instead decides to go for a safer way into the Redoer. As mentioned, he does have a triple tactics talent in the end, which is always nice. Here you could even look at your opponent's end. It wouldn't surprise me.
No.
But instead, going again for the draw 2 option. And now, it's gonna use the Redoer to go into a fusion summon. Let's see if there is a response from Alexandro. Doesn't seem like it, so we will see the Kit Kalos coming down with a card from the end. And here we could see an impermanence as well from Alexandro, but no, it doesn't seem like it. So plays back to Noah, who has quite a few different choices. He can mill more cards, even if he already has access to it, but instead picks the Rhino Heart. Let's see.
And also like the way he built his deck list actually with the Super Poly in the main. I think it's very powerful to face this many Tearlaments deck at the tournament. Very aggressive list, no bestials, very interesting.
For now he mills another Agido, but he does hit the Kashtira, which is gonna give him 2 additional mills. Let's see. So this is Avnis is being sent by the Rhino Heart. And then he will get to Fusion Summon. Probably, let's see if he goes for the Rule Kalos, I would guess. And probably mills 2 more. Or he might go for Kaleido. Let's see.
He goes for Kaleido,
interesting.
Right?
Yeah, Kaleido Art is the choice. Which, to be fair, can be quite annoying against to deal with for the Purrely deck. And yeah, he's gonna do his best to just use his resources, essentially guaranteeing the last name available to go for the Rule Kalos afterwards if he feels like it, or just grabbing an Avnis for next turn.
It doesn't seem like that Alexandro has any other interruption. Maybe, as we said, he's playing Evenly Mesh and also the Sphere mode, which might be very interesting if he's holding any of the copy. Also, Rivalry of Warlords in the main deck might help him out a lot. Still, Noah is far from over.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna keep debating whether he wants to push more. Yeah, they were just thinking if he even committed to the normal summon yet. And now we see the Dweller, so he obviously doesn't know too much what his opponent deck does. But just in case, Dweller is usually strong against most decks, and let's see what he is gonna steal from his opponent deck as well. In the draw phase, we might see the Abyss Dweller, but here, just like we were mentioning, there is a devastating option if drawn, which is the main decked, evenly matched. Ooh, and the spell is a really nice pickup as well. Let's see if there is an evenly matched. So, first of all, he's gonna use the Redoer right away to draw a card. But the evenly would be
might be
so
devastating.
bad. Yeah.
Also,
Even Sphere
Sphere
mode.
mode,
Yeah, there are a lot of cool cards in the deck from Alexandro, which obviously his opponent didn't play around, but cannot really blame him. But yeah, this opening might be underwhelming if you ask me. He's gonna use it right away.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think he also might have waited considering that he activated the Dweller, but...
especially with the field spell, you just get to destroy a card. So, very interesting here from the Greek player. Do you see a reason for it?
Honestly, I don't know what he's fearing at the moment. Because his setup is very good. Of course, he cannot know that his opponent is main decking evenly matched in the Sphere mode as well. But with Abyss Dweller being activated, honestly, you could also just wait for your opponent to just, interact with the graveyard and then activate the Mudora if he really wants to.
Yeah, instead, he already used it. Ah, okay. Then battle phase was entered. And there is the evenly match, that's why he was forced to destroy his own field. And this main deck evenly matched hurts so much here from the Purrely player. We did jinx it, I think, but yeah.
And this hurts a lot, honestly.
Yeah, it's a great main deck option, and this is a great way to follow things up. Nice.
This might be devastating, because basically also we saw Alexandro milling one copy of Keldon and Mudora, but he was also holding other 2 copies in his hand, and now things get very interesting, because basically he was able to shut down his opponent's field entirely with the evenly matched, and he could also go for the Baguska if he really feels like.
I mean, yeah, you have Dweller, of course, which is the #1 most obvious choice. You already have access to the battle phase.
But he doesn't play Dweller though. It's really
weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even play any.
No.
Yeah, just Baguska.
Just Baguska.
Okay.
Interesting.
And now we get to see the Kashtira from Noah. As mentioned, it's kind of a mix-up between a Bestial and I feel like a Tearlaments card. It does a lot of very similar things. And as you can see here, it will be summoned and hopefully gonna send something usable. Ooh, and this is huge. This is huge.
Kelbeka's last card was very good. Wow. Emil Ophinis and Shayrin plus another Keldo. Not bad at all. Anyhow, now here they're just going through some effects, and looks like it's getting better for Noah, because that Rivalry match honestly hurt a lot, but that last card being milled with the Kashtira Tearlaments made the difference. So let's see what he decides to go for now, because his opponent still has to make the normal summon if he feels like, because with the Kelda he had it back another one. And now we're going to see in action some Purrely cards. This is the Purrely Happy Memory being activated from Alexandro, which is really nice, honestly, because after the activation, basically, he can discard a card and you can special summon one Purrely monster from his deck. Yeah, he discards another copy of Rivalry match, which it is not useful at the moment. And here comes the Purrely for the first time in this duel, and indeed, Noah is just getting through it to be sure that he reads the card straight up, because it's not ideal if you don't know the deck. So, and here with the Purrely being summoned, this is very good start from Alexandro, basically, because now, of course, he has to play under Dweller, so just that was the one interaction being used by Noah during this turn. But with the Purrely being summoned now, just Noah, oh, okay, he has the Salyak to negate it. And let's see if Alexandro here can manage somehow to go through this and put some other pressure on his opponent.
Yeah, as mentioned, Purrely alone is the key card of the deck, because it allows you to access XYZ summons without really having to commit to them, just as long as they can be used as materials. So it's a really strong card in the engine.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything takes the name of this card in the deck, so there is a reason for it, of course.
And here some cards have been shuffled back with Mudora's effect, and yeah, here Noah just hoping to get his hand on something and come back into this one. Let's see.
Yep. Gonna try his best to stay in this, as mentioned. It's now time for Noah to try to push back into this game, honestly closer than it looked at the beginning with the huge opening by Noah. But this is just shows you how people and players, our players, are adapting to Tearlaments being the #1 deck. The only reason he's still in this is because he is also using the Mudora engine in the main deck, and he milled them with his opponent using Agido.
Yep.
So we've seen this, yeah.
And I really like it, honestly, because basically you're playing something different, and we've talked about this many times, in which basically if you play something different and your opponent doesn't really know how to play against you, we remember this.
For sure, and for example, last event there was Dinkabui playing Naturia, and again Naturia with Mudora and this fairy engine, which if your opponent tries to get greedy and just mill 10 every time, you cannot really allow them to. So I think this is a great way to do it. And it also helps that Purrely is a fairy monster, so there is some synergy there, even if Herald of the Orange Light is limited to 1, of course. But yeah, great mills here. As you can see, Noah with one of the few players this weekend who has decided to make multiple copies of the Tearlaments trap cards in the main deck, and this is the only reason why he has been able to add them consistently every turn. Usually what you see is just one Zuliek even, or Chu, and then you side the crime. Instead he's playing Chu and siding Meta, and already meaning Meta Noise. Oh yeah, here again more shufflers by Alexandro. And yeah, you can see, I'm really not happy about this, having to take really a grind and slow approach to this game one.
Because once again, Alexandro mills another Keldon Modora, which are going to help him out a lot, because basically Noah won't be able to activate his effect, and yeah, he's forced to activate on its own Modora.
Yeah.
And this is not ideal, honestly. When you're up against a deck like this, you don't really expect them to play, this many engine, but you have to face it. So let's see if he somehow manages to resolve one of his effects later on in this turn,
so.
because
it's tough for sure. Tough from the Greek player who is just trying to take a look at his opponent decks. It's also scary to see these rivalries being milled, because then you have to adapt after siding, and I think we haven't seen our players having that much spell and trap removal even after siding this weekend.
Yeah.
At best, some of them are using Lightning Storm, and it's definitely scary, because the rivalry can be strong even going second.
Yeah, no, it is a very powerful card, and as you mentioned, most of our players just relied on cards such as Triple Tactic Thrust, Book of Eclipse,
yep,
or Dark Lure, for example, and having this kind of cards such as Lightning Storm might help you out a lot. Still, this game one is very far from over, as our players have been going through a lot of actions and shuffling back a lot of their resources. And now the Rhinohara is being summoned, and let's see if Noah manages somehow to get his hands on another key, Colossus, for example.
Yeah, taking their time. As you can see, this is still game one, although there is evenly matched, Sphere Mode, Mind Control, Rivalry. All of these cards are in the main deck for Alexandro. It worked out in game one and in round one, I guess. So they are both on the 1-0 record. But yeah, the Purrely gets destroyed. So now it is Noah who has the first damage of this duel already. With 18 minutes, they were not able to deal damage to their opponents. But yeah, just asking to make sure that the card does not have a secret effect, as we say, in the graveyard.
I think here you could also consider just to pass on to his opponent.
Yeah.
You could just pass, you have the Saldiac, and then maybe the other set card might be an Infinite Impermanence, but yeah, I think it makes sense to just pass and okay.
Okay, nice. We see a Prosperity. As mentioned, the extra deck is really flexible for this deck, so we could even see a 6, yeah, and we are. So it's gonna banish 6 cards from his extra deck, making this really likely to pick up maybe another evenly matched even, and just turn this into a super grindy game one.
Let's see what he picks up.
Let's see. Definitely looking for some of these cards. We see Dimensional Fissure and Book of Eclipse, as well as cards in the main deck. Wow.
This is a very interesting building
What
from
an
Alexandro.
extreme deck.
Yeah, he plays a lot of cool cards. Dimensional Fissure, evenly matched, Sphere Mode. He has a lot of cards going second, and I think this deck is either going first or second. I think this deck is very powerful. You have a lot of different options. Let's see now what he decides to go for. It really depends on what he has left in his hand. I think he
is picking the Fissure, isn't it? Yeah. I think he is picking Fissure. And yeah, he does. So Dimensional Fissure added to the end. What a throwback. Of course, one of the cards coming back to free in the latest Forbidden Unlimited list, alongside the big brother Macrocosmos. And yeah, we have seen a lot of duelists actually using Fissure in the side deck this weekend.
Yeah.
But Alexandro went a step further. Yeah. But I mean, he's not in the of a spot, I guess.
Yeah, I think he really needs something. Like if he might be saying another Pot of Prosperity, for example, that would be very good. Of course, these 2 attacks from Noah's will not be enough, but there's another Shayrin.
Just going the old-fashioned Yu-Gi-Oh way. And actually committing to a summon to get to a Zeus in main phase 2. And yeah, this is turning really, really awful for Alexandro. He still has a few interesting cards in the main deck, but it seems really tough. The Zeus, of course, has been an amazing card ever since it was released. Keep being one of the most represented cards at top tables. And it's so flexible, of course, it's bright, in tier. It's such a good card.
And here, let's see if Alexandro can pick up anything good from his deck. Because we saw him building both Mind Control and Change of Art.
Yeah, and here comes the second Prosperity, so definitely what he needed, especially considering the cards goes to the bottom, so the 5 he did not pick last turn are now in the bottom, so these are fresh new cards. Another 6, wow, so only 3 cards remaining in his extra deck, committing hard to this Prosperity. He knows that the game is over otherwise, and he needs to pick up something good right here, right now.
Let's see what he excavates. We can't quite tell.
We could say this is kind of a miracle dig. Let's see if it pays off.
I think he edited my friend Purrely.
Your friend, or you know him?
Yeah, very well.
Yeah, nice. And here it is. My friend Purrely, what it does is you can pay 500 and then reveal 3 Purrely cards from your deck. Your opponent picks one of them, so a typical effect in Yu-Gi-Oh! But then, not only that, if one of your Purrely XYZ monsters leave the field because of an opponent card, you can then add up to 3 quick spells from your graveyard. And due to the fact that a lot of cards were milled at the beginning of the duel, this could mean a +3 from the graveyard, kind of reminding me of Runic in a way. So let's see if this will pay off. Of course, this what you want to do is reveal 3 cards with the same name and then guarantee that you pick up the one you wanted.
I'm thinking, would you have activated the Zeus right away on my friend Purrely's activation? Because like you know that your opponent actually added it with the Pot of Prosperity and the other card left in his hand was not useful at all.
The thing is, I don't think Noah has any idea what's going on. So he doesn't know what cards can be added to the end. He doesn't know if those are a threat. So in my mind, okay, friend went back. It's gonna roll. I think in his mind he's just gonna say, whenever I see something that is threatening enough to me, I'm gonna use the Zeus. This doesn't look that threatening, which is a shame. And it's probably gonna be one of the categories of one of our quizzes later on today, which is cute but dangerous. You shouldn't underestimate Purrely. It does look cute, but it is quite dangerous. So unfortunately he picks up the spell instead. He revealed 2 copies of Purrely, but the last spell is the one he picked, which is the Pretty Memory. Oh, taking a bath. Oh, you should take a bath.
Yeah,
I can tell you that much.
Tonight.
You don't want to sit near Albert. No, joking. And now we get to the Purrely finally on field, but the Zeus is there. And he can be used right away here if he feels like it. When it's summoned, of course, it will activate its effect. So, yeah, the Zeus is activated. Is there a response? Everything is gonna be sent to the grave, triggering a lot of the effects. Wow, this is gonna be really, really bad for Alexandro, who I think picked up his cards. He's considering it.
Yeah. I think he did.
Alexandro picks up his cards, and unfortunately, after fighting back in this grinded game 1, lasting 25 minutes. What a game 1, 25 minutes of battles, a great opening by Noah, but evenly matched on turn 1. It seemed like he could really change the outcome of the duel. He tried his best, but in the end, again, it was Tearlaments who took it home. But now we go to the side deck, and it's actually quite interesting, because as we mentioned, Alexandro is playing every card for going second already in the main deck, so can he really side even?
I think,
wow.
I mean, if I were Alexandro, honestly, looking at his deck and side deck, I will go second.
Yeah, I agree. No
100%, especially because, like, against Tearlaments, he will side in Dimension Shifter, and he also has Lava Golems and a third copy of Sphere Mode, and also triple Tactics Talent. So he has so many cards
Every
of
card
going
is for
second.
going
Like,
second.
honestly, he has so many. So I don't really see why he should be going first.
Nah.
And also, I don't really think that Noah is expecting his opponent to go second if he really wants to.
I mean, at the same time, he did see a lot of cards by just milling his opponent, so he knows that there is Sphere Mode and evenly in the main deck. So if I were him, I would definitely decide for going first and probably bring in the Crime, which is a huge one for evenly. And outside of that, I don't know if you can side much. You can put in the Thrust. You have no idea if Zombie Ward is effective, but technically we could see that coming in as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a tough one. But maybe the super polymerizations are gonna come out. Yeah, I would guess. So you put in maybe just the Crime and double Thrust, and you call it a day, I would say.
Yeah, because like playing against this kind of matchup, like in general, either you're not prepared, and on the other side, if you're playing against it, what do you side in and what do you side out, honestly?
It's tough.
Because it's not easy, you know?
No. It's tough because you usually prepare your side deck very well. You study how many cards to side in for each matchup. But then when you're met with such an unexpected deck, not only is it an advantage, as mentioned, because you don't know the effects and how to play, but mostly because of the side deck.
Yeah.
Because you're just gonna completely guess if your cards are useful against it. To be fair, compared to the past, the Tearlaments is a good deck for this because they mill, so you get to see a lot of the deck. But our players are ready, so let's see, first of all, who will go first, but most importantly, who will be the winner of Game 2. And here they are, so let's see if, as guessed, Alexandro is going second, or if he's actually brave enough to go first with all those going second cards in his deck.
Looks like he's going first.
Wow.
Okay.
Interesting stuff. Honestly, I did not see that coming. I thought he was going to go second all the way, but he does stand again with my friend Purrely. So it's going to reveal 3 cards. Yeah. Probably 3 copies of the card, or you could see some quick spells as you can get it back to the end afterwards. Yeah, just gonna show some of the quick spells. I think he picked up the Epi.
I don't know if
oh no, the Pretty, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty Memory it is once again. So starting thing off by giving 1,000 life points to each player, and then he's gonna discard Book of Eclipse to special summon the Purrely from the deck. So good start. Still surprised that he went first.
Yeah.
But I guess it has been working out for him throughout his testing, and now he's gonna send some cards just excavated by Purrely.
Looks like
unfortunately he missed out. Yeah. Because he was looking for a spell and trap and instead missing out and just setting a face down and passing play back to Noah, who kept the super poly. He has it in his hands. And I think he had the Purrely Rhino as well, so I'm surprised he didn't use it.
Because I think Alexandro might be holding, hopefully for him, Rivalry of Warlords, because by going first I expect him to side out evenly match, exactly. Yeah, that's what happened. If Rivalry of Warlords being flipped face up,
yeah, we saw how this card is so strong time after time after time after time after time after time. Just at the European Championship where Marcus Patel won against Tearlaments from a really, really bad situation just thanks to the rivalry. And if you haven't played much against this card, it's really tough to improvise. You really have to know specifically what you're going to do, because it's a really tough card to deal with. And yeah, we see the Purrely Rhino. I still don't like the ordering to me, because sure, now you got Matt, but you have to do it the other way for multiple reasons. The most important one, the fact that you just get to pop something if it's not rivalry. So why would you not?
Yeah.
But yeah, here apparently just goes to search for the second copy of the Rhino art. Gonna ask if there are other effects from my friend Purrely. Are you a cat person or are you a dog person?
Honestly, for both of them, but I think you need to have space enough for dogs, like, you know.
True.
A garden.
Like they require more work. They require more work, for sure.
Otherwise, you take Bude and.
Bude is the safe way to go. Yeah. And I mean, you already have some company home.
No, but honestly, I would like, but it's kind of difficult in apartment. Shout out.
But yeah, now again using the effect, his opponent will randomly pick one of them to add to the end. So he can just get another copy, I think, of Purrely. Yep. Gonna try and excavate once more, picking any spell and trap of the archetype to his hand.
I think he will go once again and see if he can reveal anything good this time.
Yeah, it's been quite unlucky with the excavating, I gotta say.
Yeah.
So at some point, odds are in his favor because he's playing every card in 3-off. So it's very unlikely that he misses out again. So let's jinx it for him. Let's see.
I think he missed. No,
he missed again. Wow. Yeah, that's not. It's day. Sometimes that's how it is. And now let's continue. From here on, they try to figure out the line, but play is just back to his opponent. So it seems like he's also not really in a good spot. Just gonna go, just like in game 1, for old-style Yu-Gi-Oh! Attacking over.
But I don't know if he actually sided in the Cosmic Cyclone as well, because he might have been good against Rivalry, but if he doesn't find anything else, for example, an Infinite Impermanence just in the same call, and because now, okay, Alexandro found out a Pot of Prosperity, which might be very relevant. Still, it's kind of a stall situation in here, because basically Noah cannot push as he has to go through the Rivalry of Warlords, but on the other side, you see Alexandro, what he can reveal after having missed twice with Purrely's effect.
Yeah, because for now, honestly, he has been unlucky with the excavating, but he hasn't really done much, I have to say.
That's
like,
the
it's
issue.
kind of surprising that we are 35 minutes into the match and he's still in this by not having done anything.
Yeah, exactly, because basically he missed twice, and here it just starts back once again the happy memory.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very unfortunate, because basically he tried to start things off twice with Purrely, which didn't resolve, and hopefully this time for him we will see something different, maybe if he decides to go for another Purrely this time, and I'm sure he will. Hopefully for him, he will just excavate something to resolve the Purrely's effect.
Yeah, so now he gets to the delicious memory.
Almost time for lunch.
Again, yeah, definitely. Wish we could get pizza from Mike. Mike. Best pizza
Very
roll.
popular here in France as well.
Yeah, national dish, yeah. But yeah, he activates it, so discard a card, and now these quick spells can be recovered by my friend Purrely. But I still want to see some XYZ's action. We haven't really seen anything from Alexandro yet. Let's see if he missed outs again.
No, he didn't this time, I think. And I think here for the first time we'll get the chance to see some XYZ play.
Yeah, finally we do see an XYZ play from Alexandro after 37 minutes of playing. And yeah, there it is coming down for you. A Purrely plump. There it is. And yeah, it's basically gonna stack some more materials to it. As you can see here, gonna go up to 4 materials. And up to thrice per turn.
Yeah.
Not just once, not twice, but thrice. He can attach a card and then banish one monster on the field until the end phase, which is huge.
And here he activates another copy of Purrely Delicious Memory. And also something that now we can discuss is there are almost 7 minutes remaining on the round.
Yeah. And here we do see the upgrade to the beautiful Purrely Happiness, which is a great card, of course. As you can see here, it needs 5 or more materials to be summoned, and it is a great tool. First of all, you can detach a material and negate the effects of all face-up monster your opponent currently controls, which is not that relevant. But also when an attack is involved, it deals 1500 damage, which, as you mentioned, the closer we get to the end of the round procedure, the better this effect gets. So, as you can see here, he's gonna take one of his opponent's cards, gonna count, gonna make the world record for a number of materials under an XYZ. I think I've seen more back in the days of Rongo, but
yeah,
it's getting closer to
Rongo Bongo.
Rongo Bongo. But yeah, let's see. Gonna push, gonna deal 1500 damage, I think, with the effect. Yeah. And I think even if you attack it, you take 15, by the way.
Yeah.
So finally, at least he's gonna try to just close this one. But as you mentioned, we might get to see his opponent just going to game 3, or I don't know, because you know it's tough. It's tough when times it's cold. I don't know if he has enough. Yeah, this is a lot.
And this is also a lot of damage from Noah, because basically with all the purely quick spell cards being underneath the happiness, the exquisite monster gets a lot of different effects. And here a lot of damage from Noah will be left with very few life points.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely looking like finally, after waiting for a while, he was able to show us the power of this deck. Rivalry surely helping him a lot.
Yeah.
I think we could say that his friend is Rivalry more than Purrely, but working out. And as you mentioned, now it's Noah who should first of all pay attention to how much time is remaining, and then figure out whether it's time to pick up his cards and try to win on time, because otherwise he risks drawing out.
Yeah, exactly.
And drawing in round 2 is never ideal. You want to draw as late as possible, of course, whenever you are able to not lose, of course.
Yeah, I think he should soon consider it, because basically if he doesn't have a way to deal with the rivalry,
and he
just picks up his card.
Makes sense. It's 1-1, so the Purrely takes game 2, surprisingly, and we are going to game 3. What a turn of events. Honestly, look as if once again Noah was going to win and take a convincing 2-0 lead. But the one card that saved and gave him enough time, Rivalry of Warlords. In the end, it seems as if one last turn was all he needed. With the prosperity, he finally got his hands on the Purrely. For the one time in the match, he did not miss on the excavation, and this was enough for him to go into his first XYZ of the match. Will it be the last, or will it be the start of a great comeback to claim victory here in round 2? Just as a reminder, there are about 3 minutes and something more remaining, which means we're gonna speed through this game 3, but the possibility of a draw is quite likely. At the same time, we have seen that many of the cards from Purrely do require you to pay damage, so if you're not fast enough in dealing, you cannot really afford to activate a card like my friend Purrely.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the same can be said by Instant Fusion, but there are other tools, and especially on top of them all, Volcanic Scatter Shot, an option that can be sent, of course, to the graveyard with Sprite in this extra deck. Sprint, as it's a level 2. Enough said, our duelists are pretty much ready for game 3. Let's find out who will advance with a 2-0 record, or if they will draw here in game 3. Here they are. It all comes down to this. About 2 minutes and a half left, and let's see. First of all, let's see who's gonna go first, but I think it's Noah. He's just gonna try and go for the scatter shot uninterrupted, which is a great way to play around cards like Evenly, Sphere Mode, the Lava Golem, which are all in the deck for Alexandro.
Let's see how we start things off.
I see a Book of Eclipse in the end from Noah, who start things off, and here is the scatter shot already at the bottom. Obviously gonna be the goal to combo off and go for scatter shot with the sprint, but for now we're gonna see as Kid Kalos he's playing quite fast, I gotta say, so now he will get to the Purrely, probably, if he doesn't have it already, and just mill 8 cards.
And no shifter from Alexandro, unfortunately.
Yeah, no shifter. He actually gets the crime. Interesting. So maybe he already has the Purrely. But he doesn't even get the Sharing. Definitely an interesting choice here. Yeah, he did have the Purrely, so now he's gonna send 8 cards. Ooh.
Wow.
So much. These are all amazing.
Incredible.
What
a mill.
No way. What are these mills? Every single card does something when it's sent from the graveyard. These are one of the greatest mills I've ever seen. Yeah. Incredible. Incredible mills by Noah. He doesn't even need to activate Kelbeck, would you?
Yeah, I don't think it's needed, honestly.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane.
You have milled so much.
I don't think I've ever seen a better mill than this. It's literally all cards that do something. The only bad thing is milling 2 copies of the spell, but like, can you really consider it bad? And he's actually greedy enough to go for another, and his opponent eats the double shuffler. which could be a punish. But yeah, this is so many cards being sent to the graveyard. At least Alexandro has a hope, which is why I'm not sure if I liked the play from Noah, but maybe he was forced to. But I didn't like getting crime. I think you prioritize the scatter shot, and that's it.
Exactly.
But yeah, as you can see here, he's gonna get forced to activate some of these cards. Mudora sending back the rest, but now it's back to Noah to decide, first of all, whether he wants to use the Agido.
Yeah.
I don't think he did, but let's see. He does. And time is called, and we see Chu Spooky Dogodo, and the scatter shot is sent from the top of the deck. Very anticlimactic ending, I gotta say, but it is what it is. Congratulations to both our duelists. They tried their best to advance with a clean 2-0 record. Game 1, honestly, Noah going first, showing how it's done, but nearly 25 minutes game 1 just because of evenly matched at the beginning in the main deck from Alexandro. In the end, in game 1, it didn't ever get to the point where he could XYZ summon, and this costed him game 1. But in game 2, he kept his composure thanks to a clutch Rivalry of Warlords. He took his time, didn't rush, and when it was basically 4 minutes left on the clock, he was able to come back and claim it. And game 3 is just the epitome. It's just both players playing as fast as possible, siding their cards for timeout. But the lucky mill with the scatter shot was all that Alexandro needed to lose, and Noah just advancing with a 2-0 record. Purrely still in this, I gotta say, 1-1, and still plenty of chances. Just as a reminder, this was round 2 of YCS Lyon 2023. We have 7 more rounds remaining for the day before advancing tomorrow to the reminder. But for the next 2 rounds, we're gonna give the honor to just do commentary to our German team of Seb and Leonard. As the day progresses, we'll show you guys a lot more content, not just about the YCS Lyon main event, but about some caster tournaments, we could say, that we've had throughout the days, and a lot of different formats. Spoiler alert, who guess? We'll see what and how those went down. But thank you guys for being with us. This was round 2, but before we leave you for a short break, let's go back to Ed and Noah for the winner interview.
Thank you, Marcello. I'm here with Noah, who's just won the 2nd round today at YCS Lyon. Firstly, congratulations. You were just telling me before the camera came on that you had a feature match 5 years ago. This is your first since then, and it's a win here. How are you feeling?
Amazing, amazing. So, first time I played against the Purrely deck, so it was very interesting seeing all the cards, what they do. I was very surprised him mixing it with Shizus, because it made it so that it's much harder to play against as a tier player. But yes, it was a really interesting matchup, and I was really lucky because he didn't manage to get Shifter or the hand trap that gains life points on the 3rd game, so I was able to, since we were close to time, just manage to play around that and win that way. So.
It's interesting that you mentioned that it was your first time against Purrely, because there was obviously a couple of times where you had to read some cards, because it's only been out for a couple of weeks, that deck. It's probably one that people aren't really sure about. There was a point in the first game where you played Abyss Dweller, and was that to stop the shufflers that you'd noticed? Was that because of the Ishizu cards, or was it because you weren't 100% sure how Purrely was going to work?
So that was purely because of the shufflers. I didn't really have any better XYZ to make, because I had already made Redoer, because I was forced to in order to activate my last effect, because he had already used both of the shufflers in order to get rid of my first 2. And then I did get even lead afterwards, so it didn't make a big difference. But yeah, that was purely just because I needed to get rid of the Shizus. Yeah.
Because there were a couple of moments where there were some cancel-outs because of the shufflers. But let's go through some of the play-by-plays in that. So in your first game, there were some really great mills. You managed to get some great one. There was the Dweller that we just talked about. The evenly matched from Alexandro, you also just mentioned. And then loads of the mills led to a lot of the shufflers being revealed. And then you had the Baguska in the Zeus that sealed that. So when you're in that kind of situation and you had a really good game with some great mills, but you're unsure about the deck, what's going through your mind?
So in that situation, I'd assume that these decks are prepped against my deck, because it's obviously the most popular. So I was expecting some kind of floodgate as well on the side as well. I had a brief idea on what the cards did. So my line of play of going into Zeus was really just being, it's the most generic like board removal in case anything else went wrong. And he had Diffuser on the field as well. So that way I would have been able to just Zeus and then get rid of my back row as well and trigger it and then get more advantage as well and then just spiral off from there.
Great, and let's talk about game 2 because there was pretty much on the back foot with the Purrelys because we didn't see the XEs at all in those first 2 games. And if any of you haven't quite got familiar with the Purrelys, it's all about getting those XEs out and then filling it with all the materials, which we did see sort of in during game 2, almost say game 3. Game 3 was over very quickly. In that one, it was sort of right down to the 3,600 life points, looked like you'd secured the win, and that's when we started seeing plump into happiness, loads of materials, and then you scooped. So at that point, were you going, right, I need to just get into game 3?
Oh, yeah, 100%. There wasn't much time left, so and I was very surprised at how insane these XCs are, because you just put so many materials under them and they get so big and they got this quick effect attaching things, which allows them to just take, I think it was banishing until the end phase or undertake, yeah, which, and then the rivalry just was so detrimental to me, and yeah, so he just controlled the game completely, that one, yeah.
It did seem that way, but you had it in control for the first part of that, right to the 3,600 life points, and then bang.
I was just praying he couldn't like somehow secure the XCs once.
And sadly there it was.
Down with Reinhardt.
And then we get into game 3, which is obviously right down to the wire. You had maybe 2 minutes of game time left, and you had some really good mills. You were looking for a way to get it, and then you milled into Volcanic Scattershot. So was that a huge breath of fresh air?
It was a huge breath of fresh air. Fortunately, like worst case, there's also Sprint. You can just Pride Sprint in order to send it and then trigger it that way. But I was honestly just praying he wouldn't get the shifter, because at that point I would just be forced to just end on a Baguska or something like that and just end on a draw. So I was happily able to secure the win. And
well, yeah, against the deck you didn't know, you did manage to secure the win on a feature match, so you're now 2-0. So we're going to see what ends up happening for the rest of these matches. Best of luck in all the rest of the Swiss. I hope they go well. Congratulations again. And guys, don't go anywhere, because hopefully very, very soon we will be able to jump straight into our 3rd feature match. Don't go anywhere. We've got lots more coverage and lots more content coming your way.